Hello and welcome back to the Mojave, everybody. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Laser RCW, one of my absolute favorite weapons in all of New Vegas, probably one of my absolute favorite weapons in all of the Fallout series. This is a laser Tommy gun, which looks just fantastic. I think it fits into Fallout really, really well. This is the very first weapon that we're going to be talking about that uses the electronic charge pack, which is probably the most rare of the energy weapon ammos that you're gonna find, just because not a whole lot of weapons use it. It's like this and the Gatling laser and the Tesla cannons, and I think that's about it. Well, I think the arc welder also uses it, so there's another one. This one might be the very first one you find out of those, though. You could potentially get like the unique Tesla cannon before this, because it's down south in New Vegas, so you could get that. But these ones you're probably going to be finding towards the mid-game once you're actually getting to New Vegas, because the Fiends can have these. They can have them pretty regularly. They're the main ones that are going to have this. There are a couple other enemies that can have RCWs, but they're not super common. The Laser RCW requires 50 energy weapons and 4 strength, so not too much energy weapons and pretty low strength like most energy weapons do. This one deals 15 damage per shot, which is fine for a weapon like this. This one does 135 damage per second, which is pretty good. Full auto weapons tend to have a lot of DPS. This one does 15 crit damage, same as its regular damage, has a whopping 0.05 times chance to crit, so crits are not going to be happening too often. However, you can get a perk like Laser Commander, which does make it so crits with laser weapons are a bit easier, so that's kind of nice. This will only cost 20 action points to be using in VATS. It's surprisingly low for a full auto weapon. Most full auto weapons actually take quite a bit more than this, so it works pretty well in a VATS build. This has a 0.08 spread on it, which is very accurate. That's almost as accurate as any of the lever action rifles, like the Cowboy Repeater, the Trail Carbine, or the Brush Gun. It's only slightly less accurate than them, but those are all lever action guns that have really high accuracy. This is a full auto gun and actually has really high accuracy too. This is probably the most accurate full auto weapon, or one of the most accurate full auto weapons in the game. This has a 60 round magazine, weighs 4 weight, so it's not that heavy, and has 400 item health. Which 400 item health might seem like a lot, but it's honestly not very much for a weapon like this, because it can chew through ammo fairly fast, and it can also chew through the gun pretty quick, especially if you're using some of the other ammunitions that you can load into this. For the pros of the RCW, this one does have really high damage per second, which is fantastic. You can kill things really quick with this. It has very high accuracy for a full auto weapon. Like I said, it's probably the most accurate full auto weapon in the game, so that's really cool. And this one has a high magazine capacity, so you don't really have to worry about running out of ammo too fast with this. This doesn't chew through ammo as quick as some of the other weapons in the game, but it still eats through it kind of quick. But with the magazine size, it's not super fast compared to other full auto weapons. For the cons of this weapon, though, it does do low damage per shot, so it's not necessarily the best against armored enemies, and it can have ammo issues. Like I said, this can chew through ammo, but the main issue you might run into is that the electronic charge packs are just not very common in the game. You can't really buy a whole lot of them, besides from like the Great Cons. They're like the only ones that actually sell a decent amount of this. Maybe the Brotherhood does too, I honestly haven't checked them. But other vendors like the Silver Rush tend not to sell very many. You really can't buy them from like the Gun Runners. Other vendors tend not to sell them either, so they're a little bit awkward to come by. There's a couple different ammos that you can load into this weapon. You have the standard electronic charge pack, or the EPC rounds. These ones are the most common round that you're probably going to find, and they do flat damage. They do ignore 2 armor, just like all the energy weapon rounds, which is pretty cool. There's bulk cells, which no longer ignore armor, and they also reduce your damage, both towards your weapon and towards the enemy. So you get 15% less damage per shot, but it's also breaking your weapon 15% slower. The bulk rounds can be pretty nice if you find a bunch of them, and the Laser RCW can make pretty good use of this, especially if you're not fighting armored enemies. There is the overclocked rounds, which make it so you have even more armor piercing, even more damage, but it breaks your weapon faster. These ones can be kind of rough to throw into your weapon, because breaking your weapon can be really bad for a weapon like this. You have the max cells, which make it so you do even more damage, have even more armor piercing, and break your weapon like 2.5 times faster. I wouldn't really recommend you load those into Laser RCW unless you just want to shred something big right away with it, or you're doing like a Laser RCW only run throughout New Vegas, in which case then by all means do that. But they can break your gun really fast. And then you also have the optimized cells, which you have to get from the Vigilant Recycler perk, and these ones get you more damage. They make it so you break through more armor, the same as the overcharge cells, but they break your gun only 10% faster. These ones are the ones that I'd recommend that you load into your weapon the majority of the time. Either them, the bulk cells, or the regular cells. I think they're going to give you the most longevity out of your gun. Unless, again, there is something really big and scary and you need to throw in the max cells and shoot them. In which case, then that one can be good too. For a rating on my tier list for the Laser RCW, I don't think I can put this one any higher than B tier. It's a really cool weapon and I really enjoy it, but it's by no means overpowered or anything. It's just all around pretty solid. It's really good at close and medium range. It can be pretty decent with certain perks, which we'll talk about here in a second. And its one mod can also help it, which we'll talk about now. This does have one mod to it, and that is a recycler. And the recycler makes it so that every fourth shot that you fire from the weapon is actually refunded back to you. So you can get more ammo overall and more longevity out of your gun from this. And that does really help with the electronic charge packs because they can be kind of a pain to find. Some of the other perks that do help with this, I mentioned Laser Commander earlier, and Laser Commander is a great perk to have with Laser RCW. It makes it so you can hit crits more often. That's pretty nice. If you're running the Laser RCW, you're probably also going to be running other energy weapons, probably like the laser rifle, the tri-beam laser, so it can really help with that build. You can also run Meltdown with this if you want a little bit more crowd control. That way, anytime that you kill something, there's a chance that it just explodes and deals damage to everything else around it. This can be really good against non-armored enemies since you can trigger this multiple times and you can get even more damage from this. The Laser RCW is pretty good for just picking off enemies quickly and efficiently, so long as they don't have armor. There is no unique version of the Laser RCW either. It is only just the regular version of it. There's just the one mod for it as well. That doesn't really change that much, which is why I wouldn't really place it anywhere else in the tier list. I think a solid B tier is where it stays. This weapon can be really good, and it's basically the energy weapon submachine gun, or at least one of the energy submachine guns. So if you're running an energy weapon build, I would highly recommend that you try this one out. It is super fun. Tell me your guys' thoughts on the Laser RCW down in the comments below. How do you enjoy using it? And tell me what other weapons you would like to see in this list. Thank you guys so very much for watching it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.